Welcome back for the final set of North America today. It's SoaR Gaming up against Strictly Business. Strictly Business had a couple of changes overall in terms of their roster this split. SoaR, I believe, they brought Shaliber back to mid lane for this set, I believe.
I'm not entirely certain as to whether or not Shaliber is going to be performing, as he isn't meant to be on the team progressing any further in the SEL. He already publicly released that information that he would not be competing any longer with SoaR Gaming, but he might still potentially have played out this final set with them while they're in the process of
changing things up,
switching things around. Yes.
Well, Osiris Raven banned out, Bellona and Wukong. It's all warriors or solo lane. So who's the top solo laner now with all them banned?
With all of those guys banned. I mean, we saw how well Chalk just did, so
it's gotta be Chalk.
I think that Chalk is certainly an option to keep an eye on, as well as Odin still being
solo lane. Of course, he's still there.
Hercules is another one of those picks that I think people are highly sought after, especially considering how much Gladiator's Shield is starting to come back. A lot of teams have been looking towards this item in particular. With Hercules, it pairs pretty well.
It does. I mean, he's got a lot of options to his name as well. His wave play is not bad. His matchups aren't terrible. Surprised by SoaR banning the Odin themselves there, though, but I guess with Athena Susano, you could have put Odin against Hercules in the solo lane, but I'm not so sure you really want to.
They could have potentially been a Hercules jungle, but with the Nemesis being locked away, I'm almost confident now that that's going to be a Nemesis in the jungle instead. Can't see too much appeal in the solo lane Nem. That'd be way too much of a throwback. Well,
final pick will be a Hunter, and it's Rama for SoaR Gaming. Strictly Business need a Hunter for themselves here, and I believe it's Michael Checo playing for them today. If you didn't know, who's it going to be?
There's on her on the table. Jingwei is still available as well, and I think either those hunters can fare off fairly well against a Rama. Medusa is also still open, and of course with the composition that Strictly Business are running, it kind of makes sense considering that you have a decent bit of lane pressure with pairing the Medusa with the Geb.
So who do you feel on paper, looking at these compositions here, has an advantage in this first game?
I would probably favor SoaR's draft simply because I like the consistent CC control that they can have, combining the Athena, the Susano, and the Thoth.
All right, we'll see what they can do in this one. Into game we go, and you can see all the roster changes that have happened. Indeed, Shaliber will be playing for SoaR for the finals time this split, I believe. So far, Zachsy on that Rama. And Strictly Business, they've had a couple of roster changes themselves. Checo in the Hunter position, Koiz, and oBoronic all joining Reminisst and Niquid on this roster.
I just realized, Shaliber was formerly with Strictly Business,
there
and that's
you go.
that's where the S's were mixing me up with. I got the S's mixed up. He announced that he's no longer with Strictly Business, moves on to the next S team, SoaR Gaming.
Well, Checo and Koiz are trying to defend and steal away this red buff, and will do so. Zachsy was just trying to do what he could to slow that idea down. No experience for Zachsy so far, as he's consistently just losing creeps in the jungle. He got one! I think he just got one. He's got some experience. He's on the board.
And I think that's fair enough for Zachsy. I mean, when you're a hunter left alone in that dual lane, you kind of just anticipate trying to secure the minis. If anything, you know that you're probably going to get invaded. So just make sure that you're safe in hitting level 2. That's all that really matters.
Well, the right-hand side, Strictly Business, just going to take up that blue buff. Speed's already been done on that side. Blue buff is available for SoaR Gaming, and Strictly Business just punishing this left-hand side of the map with the man advantage they have over here.
And that's kind of just what you want to see from Koiz on this Geb, even though it's not typically a god that we're accustomed to seeing so much aggression on. If you've got the man advantage, you might as well push it.
When SoaR Gaming come into this set with 4 points so far this split, their opposition, Strictly Business, a little bit further down at only 2 points picked up as it stands today. So an important set for both of them, I guess, is they're trying to get into the last leg of making their way to the next stage and qualifying.
This is an incredibly important set for both of these teams because the points would mean almost everything for SoaR to just continue trying to expand on a lead. I mean, there's only going to be a few teams qualifying from North America, so every single set counts.
Well, Man Ray on that left, sorry, StormyRays, I should say. Man Ray, I just see Ray and I was thinking Man Ray because it was his name. StormyRays on that right-hand side playing Vamana. Started things off with Sunder on Vamana here. Looking for the potential all-in against Niquid on that Hercules. How do you feel about this? Because I'm a little bit worried about if he gets bullied out of lane early on.
I don't really anticipate Vamana getting bullied out of the lane, though. That's the only thing. He's kind of really safe. Vamana is an incredibly safe pick when it comes to the solo lane. You have that free clear potential, and thought Medieval was going to be looking for the taunt there onto oBoronic.
Yeah, I think it will be every single time, but Dash just a little bit short, but what he's doing is keeping oBoronic pinned back, I think, here. Just making him realize, hey, if you step too far forward at any given moment, I will be looking for that taunt to get those beads. And talking about beads, everybody's got them. If you've not got beads, you've got Sunder. If you've not got Sunder, you've got Sprint. If you've not got Sprint, well, you're probably playing solo, so you want Teleport.
And that is going to be the case for Nickwood. But if I'm SoaR Gaming, I'm certainly keeping an eye on the farming potential that I think Strictly Business have already kind of established for themselves. Everybody else is kind of slightly ahead in each of the roles, other than the solo lane aspect for SoaR and Strictly. Those are pretty even right now. But it's clear that SoaR are having a little bit slower start to this game. And I think it's because of how they opted to put Zachsy into that dual lane by himself and then shift everyone else to the sides.
And it feels like, looking at SoaR Gaming here, they've kind of got a composition around Kaeydan and TheMedievalDoc in the early game, the Athena and the Susano. Maybe the only two that would really look for some early game pressure. Obviously, Thoth and Rama both just want to farm it to mid-late game.
Thoth and Athena in particular have a really hard time at the start of the game because their clearing is really, it's so abysmal. Well,
red buff being invaded again by Strictly Business on this left-hand side. And respect from SoaR yet again to not try and contest it, just give it away and leave Zachsy sign this 2v1 still. Who's doing a good job so far? He's only a level down, which you'd expect after having his jungle stripped away a couple of times already.
But it's never any fun knowing that you're going to have to, anytime you look for those auto in-hand trades, you're always at a consistent disadvantage because of the fact that he has a red buff on the side of Michael Checo in comparison to Zachsy, who won't have one.
Well, Reminisst is hanging around this solo island, looking towards StormyRays. He was at half health just then. With a couple of potions, he'll heal himself back to safety. Good news for Zachsy, he will get a little bit of his own jungle on the left-hand side as long as Michael Checo doesn't turn up to strip it away, and won't do. So TheMedievalDoc picks up the purple buff for the first time for SoaR Gaming.
And Kaeydan making sure that Stormy can secure his own blue buff. And now both of these junglers are kind of just going to face off. Nickwood getting the better trade of that. And now the Sunder is out. It's looking like they're going for the aggression. Nickwood dropping his ultimate, but it's not enough.
I know it's not, but Kaeydan will pick up the kill with a blue stone in the end after the dash through him. Reminisct just kind of had to sit and watch. There wasn't much more he could do about that. Nickwood being dead means that the fight around this left-hand side, very interesting. Could have caused a couple of problems for SoaR Gaming if they would have lost one, as they had two members on the right-hand side of the map. But first blood goes across to the jungler Susano. Not a bad day for SoaR right now.
Reminisct dropped his ultimate and then just wasn't able to help follow up in the slightest. Nickwood just had full cooldowns. He expended everything trying to get off his poke, so all he had remaining was his boulder, and when you drop that, I mean, really nowhere else left to go.
And I think it's the use of the driving strike is really the issue there, because using it for offense, you put yourself in an awkward position. It's very similar like Sobek pluck. If you try and pluck a Sobek and you miss it, going to be an awkward spot. Your driving strike is Hercules. Even if you hit it, unless you get a kill or, you know, you're in a 1v1, you're going to be punished, and that's what happens when the rotation comes through.
A little bit of unnecessary aggression, but he was definitely punished for it. I'm not certain that Nick will be looking to make that same play anytime soon, knowing that Kaeydan and Stormy actually do have the damage necessary to take him out.
Well, support builds are very, very similar so far, outside of Sprint versus Sunder, because they both started off with this low-nose mask and stacking up very, very evenly so far. Bit of a behind for Koiz early on, which you kind of expect for a Geb, and the fact that he's a little bit lackluster and clear. But you said about that Athena too earlier on, and she's done a good job of just holding those waves for Zachsy.
Athena probably has a slightly easier time than Koiz just because of the reach passive on the Athena. After every ability, she can actually pierce the wave. But either way, it's still not an easy task for Koiz in the early game, or even the Athena. And so both of these guys just really need to be careful, because I'm almost certain that either side's junglers are going to be looking to pinpoint the other.
Well, Kaeydan's in position to pick his own speed buff right now. Strictly Business's jungle is going to come up a little bit after that, so it could be an opportunity for SoaR to look to invade if they know the cooldowns here, which I'm not sure they do.
I don't believe that they have a timer on SoaR. I don't think that SoaR have one on Strictly Business's buffs, but him and Kaeydan and Stormy can still definitely look for aggression into this jungle side.
And Nickwood not scared to throw that Earthbreaker, just trying to catch StormyRays in an awkward spot. Meanwhile, Strictly Business are trying to catch potentially Shaliber or TheMedievalDoc here on this left-hand side, trying to rotate around towards the Gold Fury. Instead, SoaR get what they really want, which is their first red buff of the game.
That's a solid defense from SoaR, making sure that everybody is available for that rotation to ensure that Zachsy isn't just lone contesting and risking his own life for nothing.
Both these teams very focused on mid to late game, so it could be a long one here. StormyRays eats a boulder to the face, won't use his ultimate though defensively, instead be able to hold that. Kaeydan in mid, nice damage off onto Reminisst and gets away before oBoronic can look for the all-in play. The ultimate went off, the stacks were there, but it was just not enough detonate damage available.
That was a ton of damage onto Kaeydan though. He's definitely not going to want to let those stacks ride up because those are not any fun for him to deal with.
Oracles started up by SoaR Gaming, and these Oracles are going down relatively quickly. 1 down, 2 down, 3 down floor. SoaR Gaming get them both and just walk away.
And also, I think the main reason why we're seeing Stormy hold his ult, even when he's getting poked underneath that 40% threshold, is because he's concerned that if he gets ganked by Reminisst, he's not going to have any sort of CC immunity otherwise to escape from the slow of that ult.
Can we check the player damage real quick? I just want to see how the junglers are doing so far. I feel like Reminisst hasn't really got involved just yet, and that's right. He's just under 1,000 player damage still. I know it's only 8 minutes in, but you're kind of hoping Nemesis will look for a potential play on some, you know, obvious targets, at least throwing the ult out there in a quick chop.
Medieval popping his sprint, actually, kind of concerned that he might have been getting follow-up aggressed on by that dual land from Strictly Business.
And I do like the sprint that they've actually picked up here, especially against Reminisst on that Nemesis, because sprint will, you know, be able to cleanse that slow that's applied by Nemesis and allow the potential escape of his teammates.
And plus, you can never really go wrong with a sprint when you have a Ram on your side after you upgrade that relic. It could be quite the gas pedal effect for Zachsy.
I'm talking about mobility. Keep an eye on what StormyRays picked up there. There's a swift wing coming out, which is kind of what we see a little bit more of if you're not going to go teleport at the start of the game.
That's what a lot of these console solo laners have seemed to be favoring lately, is going for a separate active that's a little bit more team-oriented and then picking up the swift wing. Put yourself 800 gold behind, but I mean, making it back into lane with probably faster than just having a teleport.
Well, Zachsy here as well. Already finished off that Igval. Michael Checo has a level lead here, which shows that Checo's not been back to base recently, I want to say, with the grand scheme of things. Otherwise, I think his Igval will be finished too. And it is alongside a short sword to go alongside it, so a little bit more attack speed there for the Medusa. And how do we feel about the roster changes Strictly have made here with Checo and Koiz now joining forces in the duel lane?
I mean, it's actually kind of hilarious looking at all of these box changes. Hold that thought, though. It could be Koiz actually getting aggressed on by Medieval. Taunt was good, but
it's a gap. You tried to cast a team fight of a Geb.
You never know what Shalibur's going to do.
But it's a Geb with sovereignty.
But Shalibur, I can see diving into that and then potentially having it turned on him out of misfortune.
Bit of a setup here. Reminisct going to get a lot of pokers. Kaeydan goes to the back, looking for oBoronic, who breathes very early. Nice cataclysm from Matt Koiz, though. Puts Kaeydan in trouble, and he's going to leap away to safety just in time. Still the fight raging as the final judgment was there for decoration more than anything else. The Earthbreaker wasn't for decoration. It was for blood. And oBoronic will claim a kill, the first one for Strictly Business.
And now Zachsy, as well as the rest of SoaR Gaming, just trying to escape from this awkward circumstance. But the Gold Fury is being aggressed on by Strictly Business. Nickwood has the zone. Yeah,
he's going to stop with these Earthbreakers. They're just abusive in these team fights. Zachsy looking for the secure for himself, though. Gold Fury goes down to Strictly Business, and StormyRays out of mana, getting lower on health. Slowed down, however, which means Strictly Business can't close the gap in time. But they do find a nice cheeky red buff just to help them on that gold swing.
I think they could have probably chased him down. They just chose to not be over aggressive, secure the red buff. We got enough out of this one. We secured the Gold Fury, and with the Gold Fury being dropped already and having 2 members die from SoaR, that just means that Strictly Business should be able to defend any sort of Portal Demon attempt.
So what exactly went wrong in that team fight for Strictly Business? Sorry, for SoaR Gaming, I should say. They're the ones that aggressed in that. They had the right sort of angles to go in and make the play. But Strictly Business turned it on his head.
The Checo ultimate. Michael Checo peeked around that corner with his ult, caught off Shalibur because Shalibur was trying to charge his ultimate to land it through the wall onto Matt Koiz and potentially Nickwood as well in that small gap. But he ended up getting hit by that Petrify, and when that happened, he had to expend his beads, he had to fall back, and then when he looked to re-engage at the final judgment, it was off the mark.
And now that Medusa on the left-hand side of the map has the second relic online for himself. Still a level lead over Zachsy. As Zachsy does hit level 12. Nothing he's really done wrong in this game, Zachsy, though, is it? It's just he's been 2v1 at the start. He's survived. He's farmed efficiently to the best of his ability.
That's pretty much just the ADC woes. That's how Zachsy's feeling right now. The enemy ADC's team is just helping him secure farm, invading his jungle, securing Gold Fury. So it's not even just the 1v1 or the 2v1 portion,
Sure.
It's also just the global gold in general.
And I think with how that fight just went there, Taco, and Strictly Business coming out on top, it's going to slow down a little bit of the aggression from SoaR Gaming here. And that's awkward because SoaR Gaming's all the ones with the real engages. Strictly are all counter-engage composition here.
SoaR Gaming have an excellent composition for starting the fight, but as far as finishing it is concerned, that's going to rely pretty heavily onto Shaliber and the in-hand damage from Zachsy, I would say.
Well, 3 members of Strictly Business clearing out the mid lane nice and quick. Meanwhile, right-hand side, Kaeydan's going to pay a trip to Niquid one more time. Driving strike is down. But putting that much pressure on and that much damage onto a Hercules, it's not going to do too much for you, as he will just regenerate anyway.
And Hercules actually also opting for that swift wing pickup.
And that just work out, I guess, with teleport too.
I almost hiccuped saying pickup.
I wonder what you were doing with that. I thought you were saying something was special. But I do like Swift Wing on a teleport, because you can teleport from base and still get the Swift Wing passive to run from there to in the engagement at quicker speed.
I think it's just to match all of the times that StormyRays come back, because Stormy can back and still make it into the wave before it hits, and with teleport alone, you really can't always guarantee that you're going to make it back into that lane. Granted, you're probably going to lose a little bit of farm every now and then if you get ganked and you get poked out on inopportune times. So I think that the Swift Wing pickup is a smart choice by the Niquid.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens now with SoaR Gaming, because Paul Demon's looked up for a second. Kaeydan really paying a lot of attention to Niquid here. They were a little bit worried about how he's played so far, in fairness, because his Earthbreakers in the team fight was very impactful. He set up a lot for Strictly Business there, so maybe Kaeydan's attention here is wise.
And paying as much, he can afford to pay attention to Niquid at the moment, simply because the Gold Fury is already dropped. So knowing that that's off the map, they don't have to worry about that aspect.
We'll talk about drop. The Oracles will go to SoaR Gaming there. Stolen away by them. It was Checo who was just looking to solo them down if he could. Good work from TheMedievalDoc to set Zachsy up for extra experience. As Niquid still under pressure here. Good bonus to avoid the knock-up, but he basically solos him. Although, let's be honest, the Nemesis ult was on him too, so I can't really say that with Protection Shred.
He got the Sunder, though.
He did.
He got the Style Sunder for the kill, and I think that was really well played by Niquid. And I feel as though that's kind of a mistake by SoaR. They really should not be trying to put as much emphasis into this Hercules right now.
Should there be a rule that you can only use Sunder as a last hit? You're not allowed to use it for the damage component. You're only allowed to use it for the walk-up with the fadeaway kill.
I think that would tilt way too many carries who would just get all their kills stolen.
Niquid under pressure under the tower, still trying to take this up for the team. Great blink from Koiz, knock him into Medieval. Really looking for the Athena here, but Athena's a tanky target and gets back to safety. Final Judgment hits too, but it wasn't a hell of a lot of damage coming out from Shaliber, who's very low on mana. Main thing for SoaR Gaming, though, is they do defend this tier 1 tower, even though it did get chipped down to less than half health.
Gold Fury is going to be spawning here pretty soon, and if I'm SoaR, I want to just focus on regrouping and coming back from base to make sure that Gold Fury, we have more than just the Oracle Vision. The Oracle Vision is going to wear off. We need a sentry down on top of that, because Strictly Business, with wherever Niquid goes, he can kind of do whatever he wants.
Well, since that kill that we saw earlier on, there's not been much action so far in this game. Obviously, Niquid getting that kill on the right-hand side was the last action we saw since the Gold Fury got taken. And that Gold Fury's already respawned so far. Nobody really looking at it just yet. I do like the fact of both compositions for trying to contest it, though. They've both got those mages that can make an impact. I guess, to be fair, Thoth is a little bit better than Zeus for securing.
Thoth has a slight advantage considering the range alone, and on top of that, just the burst damages altogether. While with Zeus, you need to stack those charges.
See what happens next in this one. For the time being, though, he's just farming. Koiz coming over to the left-hand side, but with no Blink, no Sunder, no Cataclysm. He's not going to put any pressure onto Zachsy realistically here, so Zachsy's just happy to farm away, even though he doesn't have his beads right now.
I also think it's interesting that Stormy opted to go for the Thorns as opposed to a teleport, so that he might have an easier time coming back into team fights from base. But you can rely on that Swift Wing earlier on, but as the game progresses, it's going to become less and less reliable, and at a certain stage, you're going to want to just rotate from your lane over to an objective area.
And that just happened from Stormy there, rotated towards the mid lane here. Nickwood was already proxy farming, so StormyRays is losing a wave of experience into the tower for this rotation, where Nickwood's just trying to abuse the fact he's got teleport now by pushing minions in, by trying to proxy farm as much as possible, and Stormy's rather wanting to fight than take on Nickwood and farm.
Well,
weird.
Strictly business. I think that they want another Gold Fury engage. Gonna see what they can get out of these oracles. Those are going to split evenly. Matt Koiz, though, off the mark.
Outsmarted, and SoaR Gaming come up big, but Checo still committing with a fantastic use of the Petrify. Zachsy's in trouble. Good time for Medieval to get away Nickwood from chasing after Zachsy, but the chase is still on, and Michael Checo will pick up what he started. Checo still alive. Good shield coming out from Koiz to keep him topped up. StormyRays under pressure, pops the Thorns to try and reduce the damage. In comes the ultimate from MedievalDoc as well to help Vamana out. But Strictly Business pick up a kill, and Strictly Business head to the Gold Fury.
The only one with an ultimate on the side of SoaR Gaming is Zachsy, and he's dead for 23 seconds.
Kaeydan coming around the back of the same side as Baker, driving strike on StormyRays, connects to. Gold Fury goes to Strictly Business, and MedievalDoc's going to fall down very soon unless he can dash away. Kaeydan's already fallen down, and Matt Koiz again gets the kill.
That's fan laugh.
I thought that was Geb for a second laughing. I actually thought it was you because you laugh all the time.
I don't laugh like that, though.
It's similar.
That sounded so evil.
Yeah, it's similar. Have you not heard yourself laugh? Have you not heard yourself laugh?
No, nobody hears themselves laugh.
Oh, it's always awful. Listen to Baz broadcast when you giggle.
I don't.
It's like an evil witch.
No, nobody likes hearing their own voice.
It's like an evil Mexican witch.
No, why does it have to be Mexican?
I don't know, because I've never seen a Mexican witch. Whenever you think of witches, do you ever think of Mexicans? I don't. But with you, I do.
What?
I don't know.
I'm not even Mexican, Hindu.
Wait, what?
No, I am not Mexican in the slightest.
Okay.
Salvadoreña.
Okay, Steve Harvey.
Come on. Okay, no, like that's entirely different.
That is true. Tier 1 tower falls down for Strictly Business. It's 6-1 as they're starting to pressure up a little bit more. Zachsy went back to farming on the left-hand side, so he's not going to be here very soon. Minions coming into play as the tier 2 tower is being chipped away at, but in goes MedievalDoc, not the way you would have liked to after that driving strike. Final Judgment hit all 5 from Shaliber, but not a whole lot of damage came through. Strictly Business all low, and with StormyRays and Kaeydan returning, they're committing. Zachsy gets one, and Kaeydan chasing after Checo. He wants to kill the mobility coming into play. Checo next to fall to Kaeydan. Zachsy in the sky looking for the snipes, and we'll find a couple. Not enough for a kill as oBoronic does pick up Kaeydan for his indiscretions of diving in too deep, and now SoaR Gaming can fall back after picking up 2 for 2.
That was probably one of the best trades that SoaR Gaming has had all game. They took advantage of the opportunity. Strictly Business overextending their welcome a little bit too soon to be pressuring that T2 tower.
Zachsy now got MedievalDoc in, but he stood too close. Gets driving strike in. oBoronic wasn't ready though. Zachsy's already used the beads, and Reminisst committing a little bit too heavily, forced back towards his tier 1 tower. But the main thing is, SoaR Gaming had to stop attacking the tier 1 tower.
SoaR just didn't really have much else of an opportunity to really capitalize off of those 2 kills they managed to pick up. So it's rather unfortunate, I would say, for SoaR, because they want that T1 tower. Even the slightest bit of gold right now is going to help boost them over that gap that they've been suffering from. And it doesn't seem too significant as far as the gold gap is concerned when it's only 3K, but it's really just that experience difference. We always come back to the XP difference, and 4K in XP, that is a pretty significant disparity.
Yeah, very, very close game between these two, at least in game 1 so far. This could continue on longer though, because for me, the only mistake I've really seen Strictly Business make was that last little team fight. They just stayed around too long, and SoaR Gaming had a small window to get back into this one. StormyRays still level 17 up against Nickwood here. A little bit surprised by that based off Stormy. Some of the rotations are a little bit skew with for me up against Nickwood, but Gold Fury being down, and surprised to see Strictly Business all camping this left-hand corner looking for ganks when, why would you be there? I'm not so sure.
Matt Koiz. I'm not sure Matt Koiz knows where he wants to be right now either.
Well, I tell you what, I know where Reminisst doesn't want to be, and that's right up against Kaeydan right now. Double dash already down. Kaeydan didn't want to commit any further then. We'll disengage in time after a nice bit of poke on Reminisst, and he'll take a trip back to base instead of trying to farm up some more. And talking about farm, there's no real jungle camps up right now, and I think that's one of the reasons we're going to get a bit of lull in the action.
And Kaeydan actually managed to surpass Reminisst due to that last team fight, because he was actually trailing behind the lead that he now has over Reminisst. So I think that just goes to show efficient farming. And if it hadn't been for Niquid was kind of feeling himself. We can't deny that he's been kind of feeling himself after these Earthbreakers.
What, during game?
Well, all the time. But the thing is, hitting the Earthbreaker and then the driving strike. It's called the joystick for a reason. But they used the driving strike off of the Earthbreaker, and I think that that was really what made all the difference for these two teams.
Gotcha. Very well put, Taco. Congratulations. That was good. Shut me down. It was great. Talk to me about the Hunter builds a little bit more, because I'm looking at the Hunter builds here coming out, and you can see Checo's gone for Crusher after Chins. Why are we seeing a Crusher?
He wants the in-hand. It gives attack speed, and on top of that, it reduces his cooldowns. Medusa's ability base, so it works out pretty well. Okay,
that makes sense. Do we not want to see that on every Hunter then? If it reduces ability cooldowns for escapes to be up a little bit more often, or ultimates to be available a little bit more?
Not necessarily for the escape or ultimate. It's mostly just for that one spam with the Medusa. He's gone a fairly AA-based build with the Ickfall and the Chins.
Sure.
And so the little bit of attack speed plus the cooldown reduction will mean that he can try and spam his one more often. And those 3 AAs off of the one are just incredibly dangerous.
Well, Gold Fury has respawned again, 2 of them so far to Strictly Business, and the third one, they'll want that one too for themselves if they can find it. But SoaR Gaming can't give this one up really, Taco. If they do, the lead just grows almost too much.
I think that SoaR could still contest though with their draft. They have both of these teams have their late game carry aspects.
Sure. And they're not that far behind right now. I mean, 2-3K is not that much at 24 minutes in or approaching that. In comes the rotation, though, from Niquid to this Gold Fury early on. StormyRays a little bit late to the party, but with the Oracle spawning at the same time, he's going to catch Kaeydan again and get the beads early on. Niquid's hitting every Earthbreaker. Big top from Medieval, though. No final judgment medal for Shalaba just yet, as it's 5 too late. Medieval still really low, and Zachsy's eating more damage than they want to from the Thorns and the Detonate. Oboronic's only taken out MedievalDoc, and Strictly Business like, okay, reset again, wait for the Vamana ult to be wasted and used up, and we can fight again, because I'm sure Niquid will find another Earthbreaker.
And that's the problem with these Earthbreakers. And again,
just
catches them.
There goes StormyRays. Gold Fury still being leashed. Niquid didn't really want to tank that one and has to drop it down. And now it's 3v5 with Niquid going to take a quick trip back to base to teleport back in and look for another Earthbreaker.
These guys have got to be getting paranoid now, facing off Zachsy up in the air a little bit too soon, trying to find the damage onto oBoronic, but there's no follow-up from that.
Can he steal is the question, and the answer is no. Strictly Business get it, and Kaeydan was trying to wrap around the back and instead ends up in the fountain. 5,500 gold lead now for Strictly Business, and they're not going to be able to get off anything else after that Gold Fury, but they did keep picking apart the team as it went on.
And that's the worst part for SoaR, is that they kind of just contested it one by one. First it was StormyRays getting a little bit too close, and once they got into that Earthbreaker range, Niquid is tearing them apart with this.
So what exactly went wrong for SoaR Gaming in this game so far? What's put them in this deficit? It's just Gold Fury control mainly.
It's mostly just the objective control and just the fact that their engages have been counter-engaged excellently by Strictly Business. It's really just been a strong execution of counter-engages by Strictly Business that has really made them come out so far on top.
Well, Portal Demon is available for Strictly Business to look at, and with that lead now, they may start turning their attention towards the Fire Giant after. But 3 members of SoaR are already here. Kaeydan in base right now. Will be making his way down here momentarily when he can. But already the Portal Demon at half health so far. StormyRays throws out the Umbrella rank. And Niquid takes another man for a ride. This time it was an Athena, and once again Athena's dead. StormyRays now forced to ult defensively again. Big baby form comes out and he'll fall back. Strictly Business get the Portal Demon, and it's rinse repeat every fight. Earthbreaker into death.
This Zeus ultimate has also been a huge issue for SoaR Gaming, because the members of Hold That Thought, it could be Kaeydan under fire yet again. Michael Checo expending the ultimate, trying to catch him off guard. It's Susano though, and the mobility's good enough to get out.
But with Kaeydan being low health, now Strictly Business have a man advantage in the mid lane to be able to siege down the tier 2 tower. So not only the Portal Demon, but the tier 2 just adds more gold to the coffers, and Strictly Business can fall back, knowing that they're in a great position so far.
But back to what I was saying originally on the Zeus ultimate, it's just too much AoE control, and the members of SoaR Gaming that would really want to get underneath and into the fights to like face off against Strictly Business can't. They're taking too much damage. There's too much CC and stun lock control underneath that Zeus ultimate that they're just getting chunked away before they can even have any sort of impact.
We saw TheMedievalDoc use his ultimate there to get back towards the potential fight, the Fire Giant, but I'm pretty sure Strictly Business spotted that out as well. So now they'll know that ultimate's on cooldown for him to come back, and Niquid hunting everybody down with these Earthbreakers. Good news is he missed one. He is human.
Building that Magi though is going to create such a problem for SoaR Gaming. They already don't have a ton of CC outside of Kaeydan, Shaliber, and Medieval, and it's only one piece of CC each.
Well, Kaeydan's split push on the left-hand side, and I'm not sure why he's doing that because he can't rotate around here that quick. He gets a tier 1 tower, but Strictly Business have already taken StormyRays down. Great final judgment from Shaliber, but he's forced to Aegis and continue running away as Koiz comes in looking for the pickup as well. Beads are down thanks to the Earthbreaker. Tier 2 is down. Kaeydan gets a tier 2, but Strictly Business are on the Phoenix.
I don't think that Kaeydan's going to be able to back in time to help his team defend. The Zeus ultimate has been dropped for the zone, and right now Koiz forced to shield himself as Medieval is just trying to create some problems.
Zachsy looking to snipe out Checo. Aegis is down. Tornado is down. Tornado missed! Luckily enough, Kaeydan will pick up the remnants of that just in time. 13-4. Strictly Business get the Fire Giant, and they, sorry, not the Fire Giant, the Phoenix, and they run for the hills towards the Fire Giant.
I think Zachsy had that. Zachsy's last night definitely had the... I think he could have dropped him, but losing that right-hand Phoenix is still going to impact SoaR Gaming pretty heavily.
And it's going to cause them a lot of problems at the Fire Giant, because at the moment they just can't seem to... They didn't group up. They sent Kaeydan to left, the Athena went mid lane, and they left 3 men to defend against a 5-man unit that have been crushing them in team fights so far, when one of your damage dealers and distractions is not even with them. Left mid lane though, bit of pressure onto Niquid here as the taunt comes off Medieval. Didn't find it though, so that Spirit Robe stays standing there. Niquid isn't really scared of taking a bit of poke from some minions and some in-hands when he's a full health tanky Hercules.
And that's kind of just the beauty of Herc, and it's just...
Do we ban that next game?
I think if I'm SoaR Gaming watching Niquid hit every single Earthbreaker driving strike, I probably look to ban it or take it away. It's not necessarily that Hercules is such a devastating pick to a team that you can't handle it most of the time, but when you see a player is on fire with a certain god, sometimes it's just best to take that away from them. Some people just have better days with certain gods.
Wouldn't mind have seen maybe a Stone of Gaia this game as well. Could have come in useful for SoaR Gaming. Obviously, that knockup prevention against a Geb and a Hercules would have been quite useful in these team fights, just to disrupt the chain of CC that Strictly Business have been having so far.
It's certainly something for SoaR Gaming to look into moving forward, but right now it's Shaliber moving forward quite literally as Niquid's looking to expend everything into him.
I tell you what, if he had Bluestone Pendant, that Shaliber was DED.
I agree.
You're right? Is it because I spelled dead wrong?
It's...
Do you not listen to F.'s voice pack?
It's there.
It's there. I'll tell you who's not there. Michael Checo, who was split pushing. Now you see him, now you don't, as Kaeydan picks him up. Koiz shields himself very early there to reduce a bit of damage. But against these two, he's going to have a hard time getting away. Good news for him, Zeus is coming, as is the Nemesis. And that means Kaeydan wants to disengage for a second. But with Shaliber and Zachsy showing up, it could be a 4v3. StormyRays in mid lane looking for some pressure, and Shaliber fired that ultimate. It missed.
I think he was just out of range. He had the direction, he just didn't have the range. His wall wasn't up to expand the range of that Thoth ultimate that would have actually connected onto Koiz. But even if that had landed, I'm still not certain that dropping your final judgment onto a Geb is necessarily what you want to be doing, but it seems as though SoaR just wanted the Gold Fury.
This is a big chance for SoaR Gaming here at the Gold Fury. Zachsy forced to reset it though when Reminisst showed up. Taunt from TheMedievalDoc very early on. Wasn't any real setup potential there for SoaR Gaming to follow up onto that. And the best news about this game for me is how Strictly Business have been playing it, because what they've been doing is just picking the fights correctly, looking for the objectives overall, not overextending, not hanging around too much. This is good for a squad that technically, when you look at the roster changes, is almost brand new. Although
I would have preferred to see Checo not trying to split push that T1 in the dual lane. If they just stayed grouped together, Strictly Business could have just been expanding on their lead as a whole. And with his squad behind him, I'm certain he'd be able to lock down that T1 tower. And Zachsy expending the Rama ultimate, not able to find the steal onto the Gold Fury, and fourth Gold Fury of the game.
I like the idea from Zachsy. It's just a little too late to try and get in there on his own. Surely business after taking the Gold Fury, going to rotate round towards the Pole Demon. Kaeydan and StormyRays first on the scene for SoaR Gaming. Kaeydan doesn't get hit by the Earthbreaker this time round, and Driving Strike will get rid of the Spirit Robe as TheMedievalDoc looks in for the top. Great final judgment from Shaliber there, and a knock up to follow that up, but a Pole Demon goes to Strictly Business. Still all alive for Strictly Business for now. Cancel that. Oboronic's dead. StormyRays still trying to lead them forward with Kaeydan in tow. On the back is Shaliber as StormyRays gets another. This is a good fight for SoaR Gaming. What have Strictly Business done? They bit off more than they can chew. Medieval can't find the taunt he was looking for into the last two targets, but they will get a tier 2 tower here. This is a big play for SoaR Gaming. Can they go to the Fire Giant here?
That's the final judgment you want out of your Thoth.
Yes.
Shaliber has been landing these 3-man plus final judgments, which have been great on the Thoth. They haven't really started having any sort of damage potential, though, up until the past, I'd say, 6-7 minutes, where he started finishing off his build and actually getting a little bit of damage online. And this is actually going to be Fire Giant for SoaR.
No way. Fire Giant to SoaR Gaming after this deficit. The gold has just decreased ever so slightly, but this buff will swing this as well, Taco, because there's a lot of towers on the map still. I lied, there's one. I was like, hey, there's a lot of towers still to get this gold back to even, but I think that's one of the reasons why we may actually see the SoaR Gaming is still in this game, because they've done a good job of getting those tier 1s and tier 2s to keep them as even as possible.
Unfortunately, they'd lost their right-hand Phoenix again to the Fire Creep, but due to having the Fire Giant buff, I think that they'll be able to exchange Phoenixes if they're careful with their engagements. And I think that's really what Strictly Business haven't been doing. They've kind of just been overlooking where they're engaging at. And I mean, the first time that they all got hit by a Thoth ultimate, it's fine, it's whatever. It's doing like 10 damage to all of you. But as the game progresses and you're still stacking up on top of each other and letting this Thoth ultimate swing for half your health bar, that's just asking to get wiped.
And on top of that, keep an eye on Shaliber on that Thoth, because that final item is nearly finished, at least the Rod of Tahuti's, I should say. Apologies, because he still has Soulstone available. But once he's got that Rod of Tahuti online, that's a nice big power spike yet again for Thoth to go with the penetration he gets from his passive alone.
And there's the Rod of Tahuti. Didn't even want to group up with his team and look to shove that one down. Just wanted that Rod as soon as possible.
Especially if they're going to look for this. You can see what Strictly Business are doing. They feel that they can defend this tier 2 in mid lane. I don't know if SoaR need to really pay attention to the tier 2. Left-hand side, I think, is the more obvious decision.
I think they'd want to secure the T2 just to have it out of the way and get a little bit of gold just in case they have to back off.
But I think what they could do is send one mid to pressure the tier 2 while the rest of the team all goes to the left, because Strictly have to respond to the left-hand side then, surely.
I think so, but they also forgot to push up that wave as much as they would have liked. If the creeps are a little bit closer, I would want SoaR to look towards that lane since it's furthest away from the Fire Giant as well. But I think they just feel safer and more likely to find a pick underneath this T2 tower.
Well, Reminisst still hasn't died in this game so far. Niquid not scared to walk forward and eat a lot of free damage for the tier 2 tower. Eating more though as SoaR used that Fire Giant to get what they were after. But there's a sprint that dashing in. StormyRays trying to commit. They want Oboronic. They want Checo. And Oboronic and Checo are still together. Petrifies down. Great shield though coming out from Koiz. And TheMedievalDoc has fallen. StormyRays and Kaeydan on the front side. But Zachsy's got aggro. Zachsy's one hit from death. Zachsy will live just about. The Phoenix World, different story. Niquid with a driving strike. Shaliber going to bring it down. And SoaR Gaming have to run away.
I think that they just got incredibly lucky securing that mid Phoenix, considering that Zachsy probably would have been dead had the rest of Strictly Business been a little bit closer to that Phoenix area. They were too busy trying to peel for oBoronic, and for good reason. You want to make sure that your Zeus stays alive throughout these engagements, but the fact that Shaliber was actually the one who secured that a little bit longer, and I think Checo would have turned it all.
Taco, you know it's going to be a hard day when you can see the fact that the respawns from TheMedievalDoc, who's an Athena, who's level 18, are that long so far. Every single death is going to matter here, because when you're man down for 40, 50 seconds, almost a minute at this point, it's going to cause them so many more problems.
And there's only so much that you can defend as well when you're in these 4v5 scenarios, or however many picks you suffer. And the bigger issue that I'm concerned about too is Medieval is setting up a lot of these engagements. Although that one, I think he went a little bit too deep there. Going past the Phoenix, kind of unnecessary. They got a little bit greedy trying to lock down oBoronic and Michael Checo.
I think a lot of that, though, Taco, seemed to have come down to the fact that they were just trying to go gas pedal in with the sprint. They'd used sprint early on, so they're like, well, we've used it now, so I guess we have to try and commit with it. And it didn't work out as well as they would have liked, but they get the Phoenix. Fire Giant still down for another minute. Paul Demon will be up a little bit earlier than that as Kaeydan looking to just burn Spirit Robe, but he's overextended and didn't recognize Reminisst was there, but just slips away in the nick of time like a good old assassin Susano will do.
Gotta love Susano and that mobility.
No, we don't. No, we do not.
Oh, I hate Susano so much.
You do? Me too.
It's nothing fun about dealing with it or against it.
Great to play, not great to play against. Portal Demon, 60% health right now. Niquid with a very rare Earthbreaker miss, surprisingly enough. Medieval walks up and taunts Checo, getting the beads in the shield. Portal Demon still aggroed and goes down the way of SoaR Gaming. Final Judgment secures that from Shaliber, and now it's strictly business, feeling that they could fight for a second, but so happy with the result there.
SoaR able to secure the Portal Demon just means that strictly business, if they want to stick around this area, it's still very risky for them, considering that SoaR Gaming can easily just back in, back out.
They really, really could, as MedievalDoc has that ultimate available to himself and will be looking to put some more pressure on, if possible. If Kaeydan can swing around that left-hand side onto Checo, who has no beads, that could be an awkward spot for Checo to be in, but he's hanging him back far enough now to stay safe. Meanwhile, though, minions in the mid lane here, Taco.
Checo might not have beads, but he does have Matt Koiz, and that's going to have to be good enough for him. And I agree, SoaR, they're probably keeping an eye on those creeps pouring into Strictly Business's base right now, and it looks like they weren't the only ones as Niquid actually backs to defend. This is the fight they have to take up. Niquid is not in it. Yeah,
but Niquid has that teleport to get back if required here. Fire Giant has just been started by Stormy and Zachsy, Zachsy's more than anything doesn't really want to tank this if he can help it. It will reduce his damage a little bit, and Kaeydan just hanging around this left-hand side. SoaR trying to really force them into this fight here.
SoaR really want to take up the fight because Niquid, he's just not making his way over. This is kind of awkward now if they're looking for the fight, considering that Niquid is going to be a factor in it.
Kaeydan's trying to box out Niquid, and Niquid ate as much as he got there. Walks towards StormyRays, no driving strike available or Spirit Robe. Fire Giant regenerating as it has been reset, but Zachsy's nearly dead. One more hit will do it. Cataclysm keeps him in place. Detonate comes through from oBoronic and picks up the kill. Final Judgment too far away to hit onto the backline of Checo and oBoronic. Kaeydan, though, is low on health, and Reminisst was waiting. Sunder missed. Age is confirmed from Kaeydan to keep himself alive. Still trying to get away and does so. Can't catch up with Kaeydan right now. He slips through the net as it's only Zachsy that's dead. But strictly business defend the fire. And at this time as well, keep an eye that the middle Phoenix is about to respawn.
And that's exactly why we see Michael Checo backing. He needs to defend this mid lane Phoenix, and he knows it. Pushing out these fire creeps just mean that it'll be able to regen itself to that half-life that it has after being taken out once already.
So blue buff given over to StormyRays, speed buff down, and Kaeydan should get that one any second now. Strictly business just hanging around the Fire Giant, and with that middle Phoenix spawning now, we get the dance of the Fire Giant here, Taco, and it's been very close between the two so far. It's kind of coming down to Zeus versus Thoth from what I can see.
Definitely Zeus versus Thoth, and I mean, Shaliber's ults have been fairly on point this game. It's just the ones that he's let go out of range that have been an issue.
Beads down early from Checo as MedievalDoc keeps a lot of poke, but Kaeydan wrapped round the back to cause a distraction from oBoronic. Didn't catch Checo that he was after, but the good news is it forces the reset of the Fire Giant again, and MedievalDoc has a chance to return to base if required, just to get back to full health.
Neither team really wants to overcommit here. They know what's on the line, and they both have a very even shot at winning this game.
Oh yeah, 40 minutes in now, it's anyone's. If one team fight goes the wrong way, that's game. There's two Phoenixes that have been weakened, one in mid, one in right-hand side. So running this down to end the game is definitely possible from either side. With only a 3,000 gold lead too, that's nothing. Especially when you can see the fact that you look at the itemization, everyone's full build.
Kaeydan, though, forced to use his beads yet again.
Yeah, he's trying to poke people out and get spirit robes off is what seems to be the play. He'll just poke them down, using the amount of penetration he's got in this build to his advantage. But in doing so, he puts himself in an awkward position sometimes, and now that relic being down means he's going to have to rely on Aegis in the next team fight.
Having 3 Magi's Blessings on the side of Strictly Business, though, just doesn't make anything fun for MedievalDoc, who's been trying to make plays happen with these Athena taunts.
Exactly.
It's just, he could very well find himself getting caught out of position. He does have that Stone of Gaia now, though.
And when you think about the setup that SoaR Gaming have, it really is all that taunt. You've got a stun from Thoth, but if you're using that, you generally don't have an escape for the Thoth in the mid lane. StormyRays can knock up, but you're using your escape again to engage, or you've got Kaeydan who can pull everybody in, but you don't necessarily want to pull in all those guys with spirit robes because, you know, they're tanky targets. You want the squishies if you can.
Just proccing everybody's Magi's, and that's really the key factor here. There goes one.
Well, but it's on Niquid, and Niquid's not really too worried about that. Kaeydan once again hugging those Ryan and Harpies like they're his 2 best friends, just trying to wrap around the back whenever the situation develops. But with Niquid on the front line, SoaR Gaming have been a bit more respectful as this game's gone on towards those Earthbreakers because they've both been connecting very, very solid as this has continued.
And for good reason. I mean, these teams have to make sure that they're looking out for each other in particular, because one misstep and it's just all too easy for these members to get caught off guard.
Yeah, a bit of a quick pause going out from these two teams. As you could see there, we were both sat there like, is that a pause? Yes, it is. So a quick pause between the two. As it stands, this is still anyone's game. It really is.
I mean, it's been really, I think that this should have originally been Strictly Business's game.
Sure.
They had such a commanding lead. I think that they kind of just gave up their lead little by little to SoaR because they got too eager, I think, for closing it out. They were spreading out just a little bit too much, kind of taking everything for granted, having that confidence without having actually closed the game out, which allowed SoaR to really come back into this one. Well,
the dance of the Fire Giant will continue, and the Portal Demon joins the fray now, which will cause a couple of more problems because that'll be the first focal point now, Taco, just because everyone would be so scared of giving that one up.
The Portal Demon is just even more important as the later that a game goes because it just means that one team gets an entire teleport back to the team fight area.
MedievalDoc was looking to try and wrap around the back. A couple of times you've seen him do that with those taunts. Well, that time it was spotted out by Strictly Business and will force him back, and this ward was on the right-hand Harpies.
It's going to be Medieval who gets the better end of it, though, and now it's Matt Koiz engaging. oBoronic wants to go in.
Boulder's already down as Kaeydan falls too. MedievalDoc trying to get away with a dash is still StormyRays with the thorns, causing a lot of problems. But Niquid got dropped by Shaliber. The tank is down on the front lines. It was causing them so many problems. And as soon as Hercules falls, Strictly Business look to scatter, but SoaR having none of that. StormyRays goes in with MedievalDoc looking for oBoronic. The chain lightning is wrecking havoc though, and Zachsy's going to reposition. To the sky he goes, looking for the slight cleanup, but he can't find a single kill. And SoaR Gaming may have overextended. Checo gets MedievalDoc and StormyRays. Shaliber will take him out, but oBoronic with a shield. And now against 2, he'll get 1. Zachsy rolled in, and Zachsy's awkwardly in a position here. Thought he was going to chain line in that speed then for a second. It would have worked.
They cannot turn on him. They can't afford to chase Zachsy any longer.
Fight?
He's going to be able to survive. Unless Reminisst comes back in. 3 versus 1 is still favorable of Strictly Business.
It is, and now the Portal Demon started up by them, and straight away when Reminisst just runs towards Zachsy, Zachsy's having none of it now. He has no ultimate to try and do anything about this, so just giving this up is fine. He's just worried about the Fire Giant, I think, more than anything, Taco.
And for good reason. I can't believe how fast Kaeydan just disappeared. Yeah. He got caught into that Zeus ultimate due to that Cataclysm from Matt Koiz, and that combination was just insane.
Well, now we start to see the 3k potions coming up and getting popped immediately. oBoronic just bought one and popped it immediately by the looks of it. And it looks like they're going to go straight for the Fire Giant here. Kaeydan and Zachsy, the only 2 here to defend. Kaeydan on a decent health pool, has both his relics available. Zachsy too has his relics up, but no ultimate right now.
They need to just commit. I think that they can get away with committing here. And Kaeydan trying to be super sneaky in this mid lane, looking for that Phoenix shove, knowing that they were going to lose that Fire Giant.
But Checo spotted it out and went back safely early on. Fire Giant goes to Strictly Business now. And finally, it's power play time for Strictly Business. Once again, they had a lead for a substantial amount, but a couple of mistakes have just let SoaR keep climbing back into this game.
I'll be honest, though. When it goes this late into a game, Fire Giant buff really doesn't make that much of a difference because both teams just have so much white potential.
Kill potential, is that what it's about?
Yeah, it's just... there's so much damage just everywhere on your carries. Like, ADCs are so deadly right now, and Fire Giant buff really is not that significant.
Well,
so it's not a massive loss for SoaR, really.
Strictly Business didn't go for that right-hand Phoenix, which I'm surprised at. They're worried about these Tier 1 and Tier 2 towers. Granted, it gives the Titan a little bit more health and survivability, but like you said at this stage, I don't think they're that important, really. They could have just looked for the Phoenixes, at least a weakened one on the right, first of all. Instead, the Tier 2 on the left will fall, but someone's going to have to deal with Kaeydan soon, because Kaeydan's making his way down mid.
And this is all that Kaeydan wants to do. He's hoping that he's going to force out the backs from Strictly Business. And
the back baiting, though.
They
were
want to
back
commit.
baiting. Yes, Strictly Business was trying to back bait to make sure that Kaeydan came with them, and Kaeydan didn't come. Instead, he stayed on, and he's going to get that Phoenix in mid for free. Strictly Business wanted to go for the Tier 1 and Tier 2. Checo gets shallow, but though StormyRays falls too to Checo. Or was it Checo? We'll find out. Yes, the Phoenix on the left is going to fall, and Nickwood is keeping Kaeydan in battle, which means it's a 1-for-1 trade, Phoenix for Phoenix so far.
And they're trying to secure their mid Phoenix now just to make sure that they can have the fire waves fighting each other. Aegis had to be used there by Zachsy, otherwise he would have just been taken way too low.
No choice. I would have liked to see oBoronic just hold for a second after that chain lightning, because he knew he connected, but I don't know if he knew the relic was available. Middle Phoenix now sieged up by Nickwood, leading the charge, happy to tank up for days with the amount of health in his pool now, and the protections too. The Phoenix falls, that has no protections left. Kaeydan trying to cause some problems, will pick up Reminisst and cause some more issues. Zachsy swinging, and you called this, Taco. The Hunters are doing work, and it's a man fight between Hunters until oBoronic gets involved.
And now Zachsy up into the air. They need to watch out for him and make sure that Michael Checo doesn't get close. He wants to commit onto Checo. Checo has no actors available. Oh, I take that back.
Rolling from Zachsy, needs two in hands, gets one, but Checo cleans him up. One more hit would have killed MedievalDoc, and he will escape with the barest amount of health. The game continues.
And that's the fun part of a late game team fight with two Hunters. It's just, it's so back and forth.
Yeah, really.
It's really so back and forth. Fire Giant is just kind of just something to be contested at and look to get a pick at.
I would like to actually see Strictly Business, sorry, not Strictly Business, SoaR Gaming just push now really heavily. They've got Middle Phoenix down, which is evened up. I realistically think they could take a Phoenix against two members. It's only Hercules and Zeus for a good 20 seconds. Problem is they're against 5 minions though, isn't it? So trying to get down the lane at this point. They could have backdoored it, I guess, but it's just too little too late.
They just don't have a ton of damage to try and push that one down, because Shaliber is all the way over on the right-hand side, helping out Kaeydan with his speed buff. So I can't really blame. I think it's still also incredibly risky for them to try pushing down that fire minion lane.
47 minutes in this game, though, and this is only game 1 between SoaR Gaming and Strictly Business. It's going to be exciting to see how game 2 goes as well, with how this one has gone so far. Whoever wins this still has to walk back into the next game, but at least they're going to have the boon of winning the first one, right?
This is where the mind games really start to come into play, because it can become so problematic whenever you have such a long game 1 and you know that you still have another set. It's so much harder to reset taking that initial loss.
Well, the one problem for Strictly Business there was Reminisct actually died that team fight, and that was the first time we've seen him fall down for quite a while. Literally, StormyRays won't get hit by the Earthbreaker. Some adjustments from SoaR Gaming have been made around that Hercules this time around, Taco. They're not getting hit as often by Herc as they were at the start of this game.
Now, a lot more careful with their positioning. SoaR Gaming know that if they get caught out by the Earthbreaker, it's just going to leave an avenue for Koiz to get in with his Cataclysm.
Shaliber's doing a good job of staying in position until that Cataclysm Aegis is already used. The boulder will connect on Zachsy. Zachsy's one hit. Final judgment from Shaliber off the mark. And now the pressure's on. oBoronic with a double kill as Zachsy and Shaliber both fall down to the trucker horn.
There's no way they hold this.
That's game.
That has to be game. It has to be game.
There's
because
no way.
Strictly Business just
Hang on.
5 members strong.
Hang on, I just saw Wowie do something yesterday that was kind of crazy, and there's 2 of them this time, so there's a small chance, right?
It's not occurring though. It's not a hunter, and if Kaeydan wants to get close, he's just going to get interrupted the entire time.
All up to Kaeydan and what Medieval can do with the taunts to keep the damage dealers busy. But with a shield from Koiz, this game comes to an end. Strictly Business, after a 49-minute game, will finally take game 1. Wasn't easy though.
It was not easy in the slightest. Enjoying that spam laugh though. That's the classic. I'm pretty sure that was the Nebula Medusa voice pack spam laugh. That That was solid, and I mean, laughing for good reason. Michael Checo honestly popped off in this game.
Yeah, Checo had a really good set for himself, I think, overall up against Zachsy. The early game was solid from him because he had a dual lane partner in Koiz who sat with him, but the Petrifies were what made an impact, as well as that late game situation where he picks up Zachsy where he should have died first.
Checo came up huge in that instance, in a 2v1 scenario, pretty much, where he really should have died, just used the he had the Fatalis effect as well, and well, he just managed to get the juke out better.
A little bit of quietness coming out from Mike Koiz there, but he was consistently good with those shields and knockups and some of the engages on the Geb too, which allowed his team and his damage dealers like Michael Checo, like oBoronic, to get in a position. This team's looking pretty solid though for a newly sort of put together squad.
Matt Koiz